€20 million motorsport racetrack with a dedicated circuit announced for Halfar. Malta comes together and raises over €1.6 million for Darbyon 2. Environment Minister pours cold water on proposals to scrap door-to-door waste collection. All this and more on Lovin Daily. Good evening and welcome to Lovin Daily. I'm Tim, joined today by Yannick. And today, as you probably heard, the Prime Minister made a pretty big announcement. He's confirmed that a long-awaited motorsport racetrack will in fact be happening. It's going to be built in Halfar, and obviously many people were overjoyed at it. There's quite a large crowd of motorsports enthusiasts, and Malta have been waiting for this for a while. And the Prime Minister made a big announcement today. Jan, what can you tell us about the story?
Yeah, as you said, it's probably the news that Malta's motorsport community has been waiting for a very long time. Prime Minister today announced that a €20 million racetrack, a €20 million racetrack will be constructed in Halfar. The project was agreed to today during a cabinet meeting. So the National Centre for Motorsport, as it will be called, will see the construction of a brand new dedicated car racing track, as well as improvements to the existing drag racing and karting infrastructure. The project was designed by German experts in consultation with the Malta Motorsport Federation. So the track is being proposed in the Halfar Industrial Estate, with Prime Minister Robert Abela saying that government wanted to implement a project that was both professional, but also that wouldn't cause any inconvenience for local residents. He also said that the government was looking for a site that would not require the take-up of any ODZ land. In fact, he said that the motorsport community has been waiting too long, and it's time to us to go for a big investment. So the news has obviously been welcomed by all those who love motorsport. It's also been, on the other hand, criticized by those people who feel that Malta's far too small for it to have kind of land taken up and used for a racetrack, and many of whom are seeing this as just another kind of vote-buying exercise. Meanwhile, opposition leader Bernard Grech has accused the government of stealing the PN's proposals, while ADPD has said that it's obviously against the track, but has also questioned how land earmarked for industrial use is now being given up for motorsport track. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's obviously a good idea, but I'm quite skeptical nowadays when it comes to these big projects, for the simple reason that I remember what happened at the last election. So, the government was talking, not just the government, both parties, about the need for a metro, the need for a tunnel between Malta and Gozo. 4 years on, tangibly, nothing has happened since then. So the motorsport track was also mentioned in the manifesto. It's been years, 4 years, nothing happened, and now all of a sudden it's back on the agenda. So
you think it won't happen?
I'm not sure. I think it should happen, to be honest. It's been promised for a while, but with these large projects, there's always going to be some kind of controversy. I mean, they're probably going to build over a cart route or something, or they're going to. Or some ODZ land, or some resident will be angry. I mean, it's Malta. It's very difficult to build a project like this without stepping on anyone's toes.
In fact, ADPD have also pointed out that the site is very close to a residential area in Brizabuja, and despite any measures that could be taken to reduce noise pollution, ultimately it's still going to be a huge nuisance. But we'll see. Yeah. We'll see where it goes.
Yes. So some good news over the weekend. Over 1.6 million euro was raised by the general public for the Darbyon 2 project. This is a project that ALS activist Bjorn Formosa has been spearheading for the past few years to build a proper, very well-equipped home for patients with ALS and other neurodegenerative diseases. This telethon was streamed live on all Maltese TV channels, online as well. Lovin Malta streamed it as well, and there really was a great national drive to help Bjorn's dream become become reality, and it worked. It was a very powerful moment, especially towards the end, when you saw Bjorn. At the end of the program, the emotion in his eyes was quite powerful. Well, it really shows us in what even a small country like Malta can do when everyone just puts their differences and divisions, petty ones aside, to unite for a greater cause. Lovin Malta recently spoke to Bjorn in quite some length. We issued a documentary called The Little Smile. You can find on our Facebook page, all about Bjorn, his family, and the cause that he's fighting for.
Yeah, in fact, we even interviewed him here last week, and it's quite inspiring to see all the to hear about all the people who have been helped, to hear about how many people actually need help. I was saying how many people have been to the first Darbyon, and also people who receive help in their own homes, and they really set up an operation, a very professional operation, which is doing a lot of good work for people struggling with neurodegenerative diseases. So hopefully Darbyon will become a reality very soon, now that the money has been raised, and we'll be able to continue helping people in need. On to our next story. Environment Minister Aaron Farrugia has dismissed a proposal by the Local Councils Association for door-to-door waste waste collection to be gradually phased out and replaced by a system using centralized waste collection points. So the proposal has been put forward by the Local Councils Association, and last week the Times reported that Local Government Minister Jose Herrera said that government was actively considering this proposal, and essentially the impression given was that government agreed with it and would start to implement it. In fact, the proposal has been welcomed by many residents, people who kind of often see pavements littered with garbage bags, as well as ADPD have called for, have said, the system was implemented 50 years ago, it's no longer fit for purpose and we need to change it. However, today, it seems Environment Minister Aaron Farrugia telling journalists that essentially the government has a 10-year plan, which does not include this shift away from door-to-door collection. And so there is some disagreement, I guess, between the local government minister and the environment minister. So it seems that at this stage this proposal is not being considered. In fact, Farrugia said that government had a 10-year management plan, a waste management plan, which would see the current system improved and made more efficient, but he said the system in place will remain, a door-to-door collection system. Now, obviously, the problems with garbage bags being left outside are there for everyone to see. It's become more of a problem, especially since we've had big apartment blocks. More often than not, you might have 6, 7, 8, or 8 apartments in one block, and these blocks won't have any internal waste collection system, resulting in everyone dumping their bags outside. Another problem is that, for example, with waste collection at very specific times, people who work certain jobs who might not be home at a given point can't take the rubbish out, and it's problematic, especially if you live in a relatively small space. You have to leave your organic waste, for example, there for 2 to 3 days until it's time to take it out. So we'll see. We've been promised an updated, more efficient system, but it seems that it's definitely not going to be a central waste collection point system.
I recently was speaking to a councillor who told me, asked me a question, like how many Western European countries do you see? Do you go to and you see the rubbish, people's rubbish just strewn outside their doors, for everyone to see and walk over? And something that over here in Malta we take it completely for granted. I feel that you walk out for a walk on the pavement and you can't it's constantly dodging rubbish bags and other obstacles. But this, at the end of the day, besides being ugly, really ugly to look at and not at all appealing to residents or to visitors, it also, I feel, discourages goes against this whole movement that the government claims to be pushing for people to move away from the private car and to go towards pedestrianisation, walking, cycling, and other alternative modes of transport. And my question is, how are you going to incentivize people to walk if our pavements are so narrow and there's rubbish all over the place? You're not going to. It is a disincentive. So I do urge the government to reconsider its stance. And a small European country has decided to legalize abortion. The country is not Malta, it's the tiny Republic of San Marino in the center of Italy, and it voted overwhelmingly in favor of abortion in a referendum. 77% of voters backed the proposal that abortion should be allowed up to 12 weeks of pregnancy, and even later if the mother's life or the baby's life the mother's life is at risk, or the fetus has some very serious malformation. And Lovin Malta spoke to Christopher Barbara, who's a doctor who's an activist with the NGO Doctors for Choice, and he said this vote has significance for our country as well. And he said, and I quote, "Following this vote, Malta has become even more isolated in denying women their bodily autonomy and prohibiting abortion in all circumstances. In fact, Ireland, Gibraltar, and now San Marino have all liberalised abortion laws in recent years, but the Maltese government keeps resisting it," which I have to say, it's true. I mean, like, no matter what you think about abortion, it's obviously a very delicate and emotional subject. It's a fact that Malta is becoming more isolated, and it's not going to last forever. You remember what happened with divorce. Malta was one of the only countries in the world, I think, besides the Vatican City and the Philippines, if I remember well, which hadn't legalized it. Eventually, people realized, can everyone be wrong except for us, and we're the only ones who are right? Come on, I mean, it's
I think it's outrageous, to be honest, in the sense that, it's at the end of the day, it is considered to be a medical procedure. It would be outrageous if, say, government were to ban any other medical procedure just because a portion of the population doesn't agree with it. At the end of the day, there are studies upon studies which show that, having access to safe abortions is necessary for any democratic country. It's important to empower women and give them the right to decide over their own body. And as you said, I think it's only a matter of time until this actually changes. So that kind of begs the question: why are we resisting something which ultimately is inevitable? On to our final story. It's a bit of a lighter story. It's about a new game that has just hit Google Play Store, which features Malta's transport minister as the main character. The game is called Malta Chainsaw Massacre, and chain has E and capitalized, obviously, as a reference to the minister. The developers of the game over at Jahan Studios say, the game is a simple but fun, endless runner game. Which you basically get to play as the minister. They say on his campaign to chop down as many trees as possible, throw lemons at anyone in the way, and try to survive for as long as you can to get a high score. The game aims to obviously poke fun at the minister, who's regularly criticized over works undertaken by Infrastructure Malta. The roads agency has been accused of needlessly widening roads, uprooting trees, and generally wreaking havoc on Malta's environment and natural landscape, with the intention, obviously, of favouring motorists or completely disregarding the environment. So the game lets the player take control of a pixelated version of Ian Borch, wielding a chainsaw against every tree he comes across, and throwing lemons at journalists trying to get near him. You basically get to rack up points by chopping down trees and collecting petrol till you eventually unlock big guns, a bulldozer. The game looks like a lot of fun, and I'm sure the minister will be checking it out this evening. So,
I hope so.
Have you played it yet? Have you tried?
I brought my old Android out and recharged it with the intention of downloading it tonight. No, I to be honest, I actually really admire people who channel their frustrations into something creative, not just writing angry Facebook comments that everyone does, but actually doing something creative, and that will probably reach the minister's ear. I'm quite sure, even if he hasn't spoken about it yet, I'm quite sure someone has told him about it, and if I were him, I'd probably be tempted to try it out and to play it. So anyway, let us know if you've tried out the Chainsaw Massacre, and let us know what you think in the comments below. That's it for us today on Lovin Daily. Make sure you follow lovinmalta.com for any latest updates about the country, and have an evening full of loving.